A Bigger Boat for Aging and Dementia Executive Summary. The challenges arising from aging and dementia comprise one of the big intractable problems of our era. No single person or organisation can tackle these problems alone. And yet, for every complex problem, there are innovators working to solve it from different angles, institutions, communities and sectors, each working more or less separately with insight into a particular piece of the puzzle. To solve these complex problems at the scale necessary, we will need to break down silos and bring these innovators together to share learning, surface insights, and collaborate to achieve big goals. But this approach isn't easy. It requires trust, takes time and resource. And there aren't enough places in today's world where such collaborations do happen. Our team interviewed 50 pioneers across the field of aging and dementia care to discover the world through their eyes, their understanding of the challenges they face, as well as the vision they hold for what is possible. Our approach is to listen deeply and turn the wisdom of those who are closest to the ground into new ways to take collective action. Interviews revealed hundreds of independent insights, which were then clustered into related themes to reveal the patterns, anomalies, strengths, and gaps in the sector. We started with the question, how can we ensure that older adults feel at home and connected wherever they are, have a sense of well-being and of purpose? By focusing on this question in interviews, we were able to identify the overarching problems or barriers the sector faces and the underlying strategies, called design principles, that were used to solve them. 5 barriers were identified through the synthesis of interview findings, which are briefly summarised here. Barrier 1. Older people are not valued. Ageing is inherently intertwined with a reality most of us avoid. That reality is our mortality. And so, by association, the fields related to ageing suffer from a withdrawal of individuals and organisational engagement, as the actors seek, albeit subconsciously, to avoid confronting the reality of their own death. Barrier 2. Citizenship denied through the system of care and the caring relationship. Time and time again, interviewees described a system where care is done to rather than with people, and where systems were unable to acknowledge the potential or actual contribution of service users. Barrier 3. No mechanisms for learning or knowledge transfer. Interviewees uniformly agreed that the transfer of knowledge relating to older adult and dementia care practice is lacking between professionals, between the general public, i.e. from one family carer to another, and from professionals to public and vice versa. Barrier 4. Scale is seen as implicitly good. A combination of increasing acknowledgement of the impending economic impact of an ageing population, alongside a historical and political approach to public services that implies bigger and private as better, has created a situation where large-scale service provision is preferred and encouraged by commissioning bodies and institutions with the power to refer. Barrier 5. Provision lurches from crisis to crisis, not focusing on what is important. Structurally maintained by political, financial and management short-termism, a culture of continued crisis management is crippling the entire sector. Next, we turn to the design principles. Design Principle 1. Enable the individual. People matter was a mantra heard again and again across the interviews. Empathy and compassion transform the care experience. Design Principle 2. Foster meaningful relationships. Interviews clearly identified the quality of relationships, professional, familiar and mixed, as critical to care outcomes. Design Principle 3. Move through care pathways incrementally. Graduated responses to an individual's needs deliver high-quality, appropriate care. Incremental and integrated care pathways are healthy for all parties involved and potentially realise significant cost savings over current, generally reactive approaches to care. Design Principle 4. Primacy of informal over formal. A plethora of examples were provided that demonstrated the design principle that where informal care is given primacy over formal care, the quality of care and how people feel about receiving their care is better and costs are reduced. Design Principle 5. Keep things at a human scale. Small is beautiful. Services designed so as to be delivered at a human scale, which inevitably means at a micro scale, consistently deliver such exceptional results that they are head and shoulders above the other approaches to service design. And finally, design principle 6, local matters. Keeping things local so that relationships, knowledge, and ownership of services are relevant to and connected with individuals delivers embedded and meaningful services. The report ends with a discovery map, which illuminates a framework in which we explore how organisations engage at the intersection of barriers and design principles. It represents a call to action via a series of observations as to where new energies and resources could be directed to support, bridge gaps, and radically magnify the impact of existing incredible work being done by current actors in the ageing and dementia care world. We use the discovery map as a starting point for discussion about the kinds of interventions and developments the sector needs, and to generate a number of explicit examples of opportunity areas and ideas. Used well, the discovery map can act as a catalyst for the collective action towards cultural transformation it is ubiquitously agreed the sector so desperately needs.